Hello, my friend. Today I will tell you another long-forgotten legend. Close your eyes and let the magic transport you to Middle-earth. Our journey begins in the Elder Days, when the stars still shone with the light of the two trees, and the rivers whispered secrets older than the world itself. There stood a kingdom hidden beneath the mighty oaks and golden elms of Beleriand. This was Menegroth, the Thousand Caves, the pride of the Elves of Doriath. Hewn from living stone and carved by hands both fair and skilled, its halls shimmered with lantern light, and its walls bore the stories of ages past, etched in runes of silver and gold. Here, beneath the watchful eyes of Melian the Maya and her lord, Thingol the Sindar, lived in a realm untouched by war. The sound of harps filled the air, and the laughter of elven children echoed through tunnels adorned with vines of emerald and sapphire. Yet beyond the borders of this realm, the world was changing. Far to the east, beyond the green plains and misted valleys, another people dwelt, the dwarves of Nogrod and Belegost. In halls beneath the blue mountains, they labored deep within the roots of the world, crafting wonders from stone and metal, their forges glowing with the fire of creation. They were a people of toil and pride, masters of the hammer and chisel, their works unmatched even among the wise. And though the elves and dwarves shared no love, there was once respect, a quiet understanding between smith and singer, between builder and dreamer. But pride is a silent seed, and when it takes root in the hearts of the great, it grows into sorrow. It began with a jewel, a thing of such beauty that even the stars seemed dim in its presence. The Silmaril, a treasure wrought by Feanor, bound by fate, cursed by the doom of Mandos. This gem, stolen from the Dark Lord Morgoth himself, had passed through the hands of kings and warriors, of mortals and gods, until at last it found its way into the heart of Doriath. King Thingol, in his desire to honor the gem, sought to set it within a necklace so fine, so glorious, that none could rival its splendor. He turned to the smiths of Nogrod, the greatest of dwarven artisans, and bid them shape the Nauglamír, the necklace of the dwarves, reforged to cradle the Silmaril in an embrace of mithril and gold. And they did. For long weeks they toiled beneath the earth, their chisels ringing like the notes of a song, their hammers speaking the language of fire and metal. The flames roared, the anvil sang, and as their work neared its end, the smiths of Nogrod beheld a treasure unlike any they had ever wrought. But as they gazed upon the jewel set within the golden links, something stirred within them, a hunger, a whisper of longing. Had they not shaped the gold? Had they not tempered the silver and set the stones? Was it not their craft that had made the necklace whole? Whose was the Nauglamír truly? Thingol, blinded by his own pride, did not see the fire kindling in the dwarves' eyes when they laid the necklace before him. He marveled at its beauty and reached out his hand. And then, silence. A silence deeper than the caverns, heavier than the mountains, fell between the Elven King and the dwarves. The smiths did not bow, they did not kneel, they did not yield. "The Silmaril is ours," their leader Balinor said, his voice steady as the deep roots of the earth. "For we have made it so." Thingol's laughter was cold. "You have made nothing but a setting for what was already greater than your craft. Do you now lay claim to a jewel that was never yours?" Balinor's hand curled into a fist. The gold is ours. The fire was ours. The skill, ours. It is dwarven work that made this treasure, not elven whim. We take what is due. The walls of Menegroth seemed to hold their breath. The torches flickered. Thingol rose from his throne, his silver hair shining like frost beneath the cavern's light. You will take nothing but the road back to Nogrod, lest you leave my halls in chains. And so the seed of war was sown. The dwarves left Menegroth in fury, their hearts burning with insult. Never had they been spoken to as lesser beings. Never had their work been so scorned by those who lived upon the surface, whose hands had never known the weight of a forge. The hammer rang in their minds, and the echo of Thingol's words burned deeper than any brand. In the great halls of Nogrod, the anger of the smiths grew into a storm. It was not enough to leave, not enough to be dismissed like beggars at the gates of an elven lord. No, they would return, not as craftsmen, but as warriors. From the depths of the Blue Mountains an army was raised. Iron-clad dwarves, wielding axes that could cleave stone, gathered beneath the banners of their fathers. They marched beneath the mountain roots where no elf would see them, their boots drumming upon the deep roads. And in the lead, Balinor strode, his heart set like a jewel within iron, unbending, unyielding. Menegroth would fall. But war does not only call to those who seek it. In the forests above, where the golden light of Lorien's memory still lingered upon the leaves, a lone scout watched the dust rise from the secret roads of the dwarves. She was swift, fleet as a silver deer, and her feet barely brushed the ground as she fled back toward the caves. Her name was Cadil, and she bore a warning. A storm was coming. A storm of stone and steel, and it would shake the roots of Doriath itself. And as she ran beneath the towering boughs of the forest, the rivers seemed to whisper their own warning, a song of sorrow and steel, of fire and shadow. The trees knew what was coming, the birds took flight. And in the deep halls of Menegroth, where the Silmaril still shone with the light of the lost trees, Thingol sat upon his throne, unknowing of what was soon to come. 1,000 caves would become a tomb, and in its darkness the echoes of battle would ring until the end of days. Night in Doriath was unlike any other in Middle-earth. Here, beneath the boughs of the girdle of Milion, the very air shimmered with an ancient magic, a veil of enchantment spun from the thoughts of the Maya Queen herself. The trees, great oaks that had stood since the birth of the stars, whispered with voices too old for mortal tongues. The rivers, flowing from unseen springs deep in the hidden places of the forest, carried melodies that were not made by water alone, but by the memory of time itself. And beyond them, where the shadows lay thick and restless, the world trembled with the footsteps of an army that did not belong to these lands. An army whose presence was a discordant note in the great flowing song of Doriath. Cadil ran, but not as a beast runs from the hunter. She moved like the wind before a storm, swift and silent, her feet barely touching the moss-covered earth, her breath coming in quiet, measured exhales, not out of fear, but out of urgency. Her heart pounded, not from exertion, but from the weight of what she had seen. It was not simply a host of dwarves that approached. It was a march of vengeance, an army steeped in a wrath that had simmered in the dark for too long, its edges honed sharp as the axes they carried. She had seen them in the twilight, moving like a river of iron beneath the arching ribs of the mountains, their helms catching the last dying light of the sun, their banners fluttering red against the deepening dusk. She had felt the weight of their intent, the sheer gravity of their determination, a force so thick it clung to the air like the coming of a thunderstorm. And above all, she had heard their silence. Not the silence of caution, nor the silence of doubt, but the silence of stone, of inevitability. They were not coming to parley. They were not coming to negotiate. They were coming to take what they believed was theirs. The thought burned in her mind like an ember refusing to die. What was it that gave such weight to their fury? What was it that made them feel so wronged, so utterly convinced of their righteousness? In her heart, she had always believed that the quarrels of elves and dwarves were like the shifting of rivers, always there, always changing course, but never deep enough to truly carve the land. But now she saw that she had been blind. This was not a river. This was a flood. The entrance to Menegroth loomed before her, carved into the very bones of the earth, its archways etched with the stories of ages long past, its gates as old as the mountains themselves. She did not slow as she entered, the cool air of the cavern swallowing her whole, wrapping around her like a whisper of forgotten dreams. And the light of countless lanterns flickered along the walls, casting golden reflections on the polished stone, their glow tracing the delicate carvings of leaves and vines, of birds in mid-flight, of stars caught in an eternal dance. And yet, for all its beauty, the cave felt small, smaller than she had ever known it to be, as though it could feel the weight of the approaching storm and had begun to shrink away from it. She did not pause, did not allow herself the luxury of hesitation. The hall of Thingol lay ahead, vast and open, its pillars rising like ancient trees, their marble veins catching the soft luminescence of enchanted light. The sound of harps echoed faintly, though their melodies felt distant now, hollow beneath the burden of what she carried in her mind. And there he sat, Thingol, the Sindarin king, whose silver hair shimmered beneath the glow of the lanterns, whose eyes, gray and wise as the sea, bore the weight of centuries. His robes, woven with the fine threads of elven craft, draped around him like the very mist of Doriath. And in his hand, the light of the Silmaril flickered, set within the golden embrace of the Nauglamír, the necklace of the dwarves. Cadil did not kneel. There was no time. "My lord," she breathed, and for the first time her voice betrayed her, shaking as though the very mountains had lodged themselves within it. "They come." Thingol's eyes lifted from the jewel, slow, measured, like a man stirring from a dream he did not wish to leave. For a moment, only silence stretched between them, silence so vast it felt like an ocean. Then, at last, he spoke. "Who comes, child?" His voice was soft, but within it lay the weight of ages, the quiet understanding of one who had seen too much, lost too much, and yet remained unbroken. "The dwarves," she whispered, swallowing against the tightness in her throat. "A host from Nogrod marches upon Menegroth. They come armed for war." A stillness settled over the hall, a hush that was not merely the absence of sound, but the deep, echoing quiet of something ancient stirring. Thingol studied her for a long moment, his fingers tracing the edge of the Nauglamír, his gaze drifting back to the Silmaril that sat nestled within its embrace. Then he sighed, a sound like wind through the old trees of Doriath, weary and knowing. "I should not be surprised," he murmured, though whether he spoke to her or to himself she could not tell. The hands that craft are the same hands that destroy. This has always been the way of the world. It is the way of stone and of fire, and of all things that are bound by their own making. Cadell took a step forward, her chest tight with the urgency of the moment.
My lord, they will not come to speak. They will not ask for what they believe is theirs. They will take it, and they will not leave these halls until the stones run red.
At this, Thingol's fingers stilled, his gaze sharpening like the edge of a blade. And what do they believe is theirs? She hesitated. The necklace, she said at last, her voice small but clear.
They believe they have claim to it.
They say that it is not the Silmaril alone that holds value, but the gold, the silver, the hands that shaped it into what it is now. They say that it is not yours to keep. Thingol let out a soft, almost bitter laugh, though there was no joy in it. Gold and silver, he said, shaking his head. And yet they do not understand. The worth of this jewel is beyond them. It is beyond me, beyond you, beyond all who walk beneath the sky. It was never meant to be possessed. It is like the stars. It belongs to no one, yet all are drawn to it. He looked at her then, truly looked at her. And in his gaze she saw something she had never seen before. Not only the wisdom of ages, but the quiet grief of one who knew what was to come and could do nothing to stop it. Go, he said at last, his voice gentler now, softer, like the last light of dusk before the night takes hold. Call the captains. Ready the warriors. If they come for what is mine, then let them come, but I will not give it freely. And so the storm gathered beyond the gates of Menegroth. The dwarves marched ever closer, their hearts as heavy as their steel, their pride as unrelenting as the mountains they had left behind. And in the deep halls of the Thousand Caves, the Elves of Doriath prepared for a battle that would carve their names into the sorrowful songs of history. The air in Menegroth had changed, though none could yet say why. It was subtle, a shift so faint that only those who had long dwelled within its halls could feel it, a tension woven into the very stone, a quiet shudder in the roots of the earth itself. The great trees above whispered uneasily, their golden leaves trembling with unseen foreboding, their branches swaying as if they knew that soon the hands that had tended them with such care would be stilled forever. And deep beneath them, within the heart of the Thousand Caves, the elves stirred like a river meeting an unseen dam, their movements slow but deliberate, their thoughts turned toward the knowledge that the peace they had long known was about to shatter. In the vast chamber of his court, where the high columns bore the stories of ages past, Thingol stood beneath the light of the Silmaril, the jewel's radiance casting strange, flickering shadows upon his face. His fingers still traced the smooth golden links of the Nauglamír, but his mind was elsewhere, adrift upon the vast, uncharted waters of fate. He had lived long, longer than most in Middle-earth, and though he had seen much, though he had ruled wisely and well, he could not shake the feeling that he had been blind. For all his wisdom, he had not seen this coming, not truly. He had known of the dwarves' pride, had understood the weight they placed upon the work of their own hands, but he had not thought that their craft, however fine, could rival the claim of history, of lineage, of blood spilled for a jewel that had been wrested from the very hands of Morgoth. He had not believed that they would dare, that they would march upon his kingdom with axes sharpened not for trade, but for war. A voice stirred him from his thoughts, soft yet firm, carrying with it the cadence of ages, the whisper of distant stars. "You are troubled," Melian said, stepping from the shadows. She was clad in robes woven with the shimmer of twilight, her presence as ethereal as the mist that curled upon the rivers of Aman. Her dark eyes, deep as the fathomless wells of knowledge from which she drank, studied him with quiet patience, though there was sorrow in them as well. Sorrow born of one who had seen too much and knew too well what lay ahead. Thingol exhaled slowly, his gaze still upon the Silmaril, as if searching its unearthly light for answers. "Should I not be?" he murmured. "The world changes, as it always does, and we are caught within it, unable to halt the tide. What are we but stones in the river, Melian? And though the water shapes us, wears upon us, we cannot stop its course." Melian inclined her head slightly, the hint of a smile touching her lips, though it was a smile laced with sorrow, with understanding. "A river does not seek to stop the stone," she said softly. "It only seeks to pass around it. And yet, even the mightiest river can be dammed if the stones are placed wisely." Thingol turned to face her fully then, and for the first time that night, he allowed the weight upon his heart to show upon his face. "And do you believe that is what I have done? Have I dammed the river, Melian? Have I, in my pride, set in motion something that cannot be undone?" For a long moment Melian did not answer, only watching him with eyes that held the wisdom of the Ainur, the weight of one who had seen the very music of the world unfold. At last she spoke, her voice quiet but resolute. "There are many forces in this world, my king. Some bend to wisdom, others do not. You have ruled long and wisely, but wisdom does not always avert sorrow. You know as well as I that the Silmarils do not bring peace. They have never brought peace." Her gaze drifted to the jewel, its glow reflecting in her dark eyes, turning them into twin stars. "And yet, still they are sought. Still they are fought for. Still they bind hearts in chains heavier than iron. You believe this is only the dwarves doing, but the fault is not theirs alone. The Silmarils do not abide ownership. To hold one is to hold the weight of all who have desired it. That weight has now come to your door." Thingol let out a breath that was almost a sigh, though it was laced with something deeper. Regret, perhaps, or the understanding that the past could not be unwritten. "And what would you have me do, Melian? They march upon us even now, axes in hand, fire in their hearts. Would you have me kneel before them, hand them the jewel, and bid them farewell as honored guests?" A shadow passed across Melian's face, a flicker of something that was not fear nor anger, but something far older, far deeper. "No," she said simply. "I would not ask that of you. You are a king, and this is your realm. But I would ask that you remember what it is that you fight for. You do not fight for the jewel, Thingol, not truly. You fight for what you have built here, for the lives that call these halls home. And if the dwarves come not only for the Nauglamír, but for Menegroth itself, you must understand that this battle will not end with the spilling of blood. It will not end with a victor standing over the fallen. It will end with a wound that will never close, a wound between two peoples that will fester long after you and I are gone." Thingol's fingers tightened around the necklace, his grip firm, his expression unreadable. "Then let it fester," he said at last, his voice steady, though there was a weight behind it that had not been there before. "Let history write its sorrow upon the stones of these halls. I will not yield to them, Melian. I will not see Doriath brought to its knees by the pride of those who live beneath the earth, who have never known the light of the stars." Melian watched him for a long moment. Then, slowly, she inclined her head. "So be it," she murmured. "The tide cannot be turned once it has begun to rise. But know this, my love. Though the river does not seek to break the stone, in time, even the mightiest stone may be worn away until nothing remains but dust." And with that, she turned, disappearing once more into the shadows, leaving him standing alone beneath the light of the Silmaril, its glow now seeming colder than before, its beauty edged with sorrow. Beyond the halls of Menegroth, beyond the golden canopy of Doriath, the dwarves marched ever closer. The ground trembled beneath their feet, the air thick with the scent of iron and determination. They did not chant, nor did they call out, for their purpose was already clear, already written in the weight of their silence. The battle was coming. The 1,000 caves would echo with the sound of steel, and when it was done, neither elves nor dwarves would leave unscathed. The river was rising, and soon it would break upon the stone. The wind carried the scent of iron, the tang of steel warmed by unseen hands, the distant whisper of footfalls upon ancient stone. It curled through the towering trees of Doriath, twisting between their golden leaves, rustling through the ivy-laced undergrowth like a harbinger of something unseen, something ancient stirring from its slumber. It was a night of heavy silence, a silence that seemed to press upon the very bones of the land, stretching into the depths of the 1,000 caves where light had never touched the deepest corners. The rivers murmured their songs, their voices laced with unease, and the distant groves stood watch, their boughs unmoving beneath the weight of foreboding. In the halls of Menegroth, where marble veins pulsed with the memory of hands that had carved them, where the light of enchanted lanterns flickered against tapestries woven with the history of the elves, there was no laughter, no music, only the hushed whispers of those who understood that the world was on the cusp of change. And in the great chamber of his court, where the shadows stretched long and cold upon the polished stone, Thingol stood alone before the Silmaril, its radiance spilling across his hands, illuminating his face with a glow that was neither warm nor kind. The jewel burned like the heart of a fallen star, and yet it was colder than ice, more distant than the forgotten dreams of gods. He had watched its light for many nights, had turned it within his fingers as one turns a thought too heavy to bear. And yet no answers had come to him, only the weight of a choice that could not be unmade. It was a thing of terrible beauty, something that did not belong to the world of flesh and blood. And yet here it sat within his grasp, bound within the golden chains of the Nauglamír, a relic of dwarven craft and elven pride, woven into something neither people could claim without drowning in the sorrow of it. Footsteps echoed from the entrance to the chamber, slow and deliberate, carrying with them the quiet grace of a presence that had always walked between the seen and unseen, between wisdom and sorrow. Melian emerged from the shadows, her form wrapped in robes that shimmered like twilight woven into cloth, her dark eyes holding the weight of things unspoken. She did not speak immediately, did not move closer, but stood watching, as though waiting for the silence itself to finish its lament before she gave her voice to the air. "You hold it still," she murmured at last, her voice soft,
yet laced with something deeper, something that carried the weight of ages. You hold it as though it will answer you, as though within its light there is something more than fire and memory. Thingol did not turn, did not lift his gaze from the jewel that seemed to pulse with something living, something breathing.
"And yet it does answer," he replied, his voice distant, as though speaking through layers of thought. "It whispers to all who look upon it, sings to them in a voice they do not understand, but cannot ignore. It is no ordinary light, Melian. It is the light of the trees, the last remnant of what was lost. And in it there is something more than beauty. There is longing. There is sorrow." A quiet sigh escaped Melian's lips, not of frustration nor of despair, but of the inevitability of what she had known from the moment the Silmaril had entered these halls. "It has whispered to kings before you," she said, stepping forward, though her gaze did not fall upon the jewel, but upon the man who held it. "It has sung to warriors, to smiths, to those who have touched it only to find themselves bound in chains they cannot see. And now it whispers to you. But do you not wonder, my love, if what it sings is not a song meant for your ears? Do you not wonder if it was never meant to be held in mortal hands?" At this, Thingol closed his fingers around the Nauglamír, his jaw tightening, though his voice remained even. "You speak as though I do not know the tale," he said. "As though I do not understand the path this jewel has taken, the sorrow that trails in its wake like the shadow of a storm. But you forget, Melian, that I am not like the others. I do not seek dominion over it. I do not desire it as Feanor did, nor as Morgoth before him. I do not wish to hoard it, to wield it, to chain the light within it to my own will. I only wish to keep it, to let it rest here within the safety of Doriath, where no dark hands may reach it." Melian studied him for a long moment, and then she stepped closer, reaching out not for the Silmaril, but for the hand that held it. "There is no safety in possession," she whispered, her fingers brushing against his own, cold against the warmth of his skin. "Not with this. Not with something that carries the grief of the world within its light. You say you do not seek to wield it, and yet already it has shaped you. You hold it, and you do not see what it is made of your heart, how it weighs upon your words, how it dims the wisdom you once carried without burden. It is not the jewel alone that calls the dwarves, Thingol. It is what it has made of you. It is the shadow it casts, even in its brilliance." For the first time, Thingol hesitated, his fingers loosening slightly upon the necklace, as though suddenly aware of the weight he carried. The light flickered upon his face, and for a moment something passed through his gaze. Doubt, recognition, a quiet understanding of something he could not yet name. But then the moment passed, and the fire of his pride flared once more, driving the hesitation from his expression. "You speak in riddles, as always," he murmured, though there was no sharpness in his tone, only weariness. "And yet the world does not deal in riddles, Melian. It deals in steel, in oaths, in blood spilled for that which cannot be shared. The dwarves do not come for wisdom. They do not come for truth. They come for what they believe is theirs, and they will not leave without it." Melian withdrew her hand, her gaze steady, unwavering. "Then you already know how this ends," she said, and there was sorrow in her voice now, sorrow as vast as the sky. "You know that they will not leave, and you know that neither will you." Thingol did not answer. he did not need to. For outside the walls of Menegroth, beneath the golden leaves of the forest, the ground trembled with the weight of marching feet. The iron-clad warriors of Nogrod, moving through the shadows, their axes gleaming beneath the silver light of the stars. They did not sing, did not call out in war cries, for they needed no words to speak their purpose. The time for words had passed. They would not leave without what was theirs, and the 1,000 caves would soon be filled with the echoes of sorrow. The night stretched heavy and long, a vast canopy of darkness pierced only by the glimmering stars, distant and indifferent, watching with silent, ancient eyes the unfolding of yet another sorrow upon the lands below. The trees of Doriath, their golden leaves trembling in the wind like whispered warnings, stood as solemn sentinels, their roots buried deep in the bones of the world, as if they too sought to brace themselves for what was coming. The rivers, winding their way through the enchanted woods, carried the weight of fate in their restless currents, their voices no longer singing of peace, but of an unease that ran deep, as though the very waters understood that soon they would run red with grief. And beneath the great boughs of that eternal forest, beneath the shifting constellations that had long outlived empires and kings, beneath the watchful silence of the night, there came a sound that did not belong to this land of song and starlight. A low, rhythmic tremor rolled through the undergrowth, the deep, shuddering echo of countless iron-clad boots striking the earth in unison. The slow, measured breath of an army moving through the hush of the ancient woods. The dwarves of Nogrod, bound by oath, by vengeance, by a pride heavier than the mountains that had birthed them, came in silence, their axes glinting in the silver light, their faces hard as the stone from which they had been shaped. There was no need for battle cries, no need for boasts or proclamations of war. Their purpose had long been decided, their course carved into the unyielding path of stone and steel. They came not as messengers, not as supplicants, but as those who had already weighed the cost of their fury and found it worth the price. At their head strode Balinor, his broad frame wrapped in a cloak the color of storm clouds, his beard braided with bands of iron, his hands wrapped tight around the haft of the great axe that had been passed through the line of his fathers. A weapon that had sung in battle long before this day, long before the insult that had drawn him from the depths of his halls. His eyes, sharp as the glint of a chisel striking stone, were fixed upon the unseen halls ahead, upon the hidden caves of Menegroth, where a treasure lay waiting, where a debt long denied would at last be settled. He did not speak, but in his silence there was more weight than words could carry. A stillness that was not hesitation, but the patience of a storm gathering upon the horizon, the quiet before the thunder. Beside him, Tholin, his second in command, a warrior of great stature and grizzled years, walked with steady purpose, his fingers tracing the runes carved into the handle of his warhammer. A silent invocation to the spirits of his forebears, a reminder that he carried not only his own fury into battle, but the weight of those who had come before him. His voice, when it finally broke the hush of the march, was low, edged with something akin to reverence, but there was unease beneath it, a shadow of doubt flickering behind his steel-gray gaze. "Balinor," he murmured, his words scarcely more than a breath upon the air, though they carried through the darkened wood like the whisper of stone crumbling in the depths of a forgotten mind. "You have led us far, and we follow without question, as we have always done. But tell me, when the gates of Menegroth stand before us, when the king of the elves meets our gaze with that cold, knowing look of his,
Will he yield? Will he see reason? Or will his pride stand taller than these trees, unwilling to bend, unwilling to break, even if it means ruin for us all? Balinor did not turn, did not slow his stride, but his fingers tightened ever so slightly around the haft of his axe, his knuckles white beneath the weight of unspoken thought. When he finally spoke, his voice was low, steady as the deep rumble of the earth itself, a voice not given to doubt nor to regret, but one that carried the certainty of one who had already measured the cost of his actions and accepted them.
I do not go to Menegroth to beg, Tholin. I do not go to entreat, nor to barter, nor to seek the favor of an elf lord who sits upon his throne and weighs the worth of our hands as though they were lesser than his own. I go to reclaim what is ours, what was taken not in battle, not through the spilling of rightful blood, but through deception, through theft masked as honor. You ask if he will yield, but you know as well as I that Thingol of Doriath will not part with that which he believes belongs to him, no matter what truth stands before him. His pride is as vast as the forests that shield him, his certainty as unshaken as the stars that he looks upon with such reverence. No, Tholin, he will not yield. A pause, then, heavy as the silence before the strike of a smith's hammer. And when Balinor continued, there was something colder in his voice, something that was not anger, but inevitability. And neither will we. Tholin exhaled slowly, his gaze flickering upward toward the canopy, where the stars burned bright and distant, where the world beyond their march remained untouched by the weight of their steps. He had known Balinor all his life, had fought beside him in battles sung of in the deep halls of their fathers, had seen him stand against foes that would have driven lesser men to their knees. But tonight, beneath the heavy boughs of Doriath, he saw in him something he had not seen before. Not merely the resolve of a warrior, not merely the fire of a leader, but something deeper, something more unyielding. The weight of history rested upon Balinor's shoulders, and he bore it not as a burden, but as a mantle. The trees whispered around them, the golden leaves rustling as if in quiet mourning, as if they too knew that before the dawn the ground would drink deeply of sorrow. And above, the stars, silent, eternal, untouched, watched as they had always watched, as they always would, indifferent to the smallness of mortal fury, to the griefs and wars of those who dwell beneath their light. And still the dwarves marched on, their path set, their fate unalterable. And far ahead, unseen but waiting, the gates of Menegroth loomed in the darkness, the last barrier between them and the reckoning that awaited. The night in Doriath deepened, stretching its long, ink-dark fingers across the lands, pulling the shadows tighter around the golden trunks of the mighty trees, sinking its hush into the roots of the earth. The stars above burned with a cold, distant light, detached from the sorrow weaving itself into the bones of the land below, watching with ancient indifference as fates unraveled, as pride and sorrow wove their inevitable end. The whispering leaves of the forests, once trembling with song, now murmured in hushed, restless voices, as if they too could feel the weight of what was to come, as if the very air carried the knowledge of grief not yet spoken, of wounds not yet struck, but already certain. Beneath the towering canopy of Melion's girdle, beneath the eaves of those eternal woods where time itself seemed to slow, a host of warriors stood, clad in the silvered armor of the Sindar, their mail woven with enchantments as delicate and strong as the threads of fate itself, their blades catching the glint of the unseen moon, their hands tightening around the hilts of swords that had known no battle within these borders for long years. Their faces, fair and pale as the light of stars, bore no fear, for fear was not a thing easily born in the hearts of elves. But there was something in their eyes, an unease, a sorrow that had not yet found its voice, the quiet understanding of those who stand upon the threshold of something that cannot be undone. At the head of the gathering, where the lanterns flickered against the carved stone of Menegroth's outer gates, stood Cadil, her gaze fixed upon the dark paths beyond, upon the unseen march of those who approached, upon the coming storm whose first winds she had already felt whispering through the boughs. Her fingers, long and slender, brushed the hilt of her blade, not in eagerness nor in anticipation of the fight to come, but in a quiet, searching motion, as if her hands sought certainty where her heart could find none. She had always known that the world beyond these woods was restless, that the peace of Doriath was but a fleeting thing in a land where the shadow of Morgoth still stretched long and unyielding. But never had she thought that the first war to come to their gates would not be waged by the Dark Lord's minions, nor by the beasts of Angband, but by those who in another time and another age might have been allies. Those whose hands, though rougher than their own, had wrought beauty from the bones of the mountains, whose voices, though deeper, had once carried songs of stone and flame. A voice stirred her from her thoughts, quiet yet weighted, low yet rich with the burden of centuries. You do not speak, and yet I see the words in your eyes, the questions, the sorrow. You wonder, as I do, how it has come to this. She turned slowly, her gaze meeting that of Thingol, her king, her lord. Though in this moment, as he stood before her robed in the silvered blues of twilight, his long hair gleaming beneath the lantern light, he seemed not so much a king of the elves, but something older, something made of the very fabric of this land itself. His face was fair and noble, but there was a shadow in his eyes, not of fear, but of a sorrow that had already taken root, though his pride refused to give it voice. Cadil inclined her head, the motion slow, deliberate, as though she too carried a weight not easily lifted. It is not the battle that I fear, my lord. It is not steel against steel, nor the clash of flesh and fire. It is what will come after. It is what will be left in the wake of this war. When the last axe is stilled, when the last cry has fallen silent. We have warred against the servants of darkness, against those who seek to claim this world for ruin, and in those battles we have found purpose, for we have known without doubt where the lines are drawn, where our cause is just. But this, she hesitated, her fingers pressing against the carved stone of the gate, feeling its cool solidity beneath her touch, as though grounding herself within it. This is not such a war. These foes do not march with the banners of Angband, nor do they bear the mark of shadow upon their brow. And yet we will meet them with the same steel, the same fury. And I wonder, my lord, will the land itself know the difference? When the blood of dwarves mingles with the earth of Doriath, will it cry out as it does when the servants of the Dark Lord fall? Or will it remain silent, knowing that this was not fate's doing, but ours? Thingol regarded her for a long moment, his gaze heavy, unreadable, though his fingers, where they rested upon the hilt of his sword, tightened slightly, a flicker of motion that spoke of something deeper, something unspoken. When he answered, his voice was quiet, but within it lay the weight of a king who had ruled long, who had seen more than most could fathom, and who knew in his heart that his words carried a truth that even he could not deny. "The land remembers," he murmured. "The stones, the trees, the rivers, they do not forget. They do not weep as we do, nor do they curse or mourn. But they remember. They remember the steps that tread upon them, the voices that are raised in anger, the blades that bite into flesh. And though we, in our wisdom, in our sorrow, may try to forget, may try to smooth the wounds we carve into the world, the earth does not forget. It carries the weight of all that has been done upon it. And when we are gone, when the echoes of our battles have faded into the dust of forgotten ages, it will still bear the scars of what we chose to do." Cadell closed her eyes briefly, as though tasting the weight of those words, as though measuring them against the knowledge that already sat heavy within her chest. When she opened them again, she exhaled, slow and steady. "And yet," she said, her voice barely above a whisper, "we do it still." Thingol inclined his head, the motion almost imperceptible, the flicker of something, understanding, regret, certainty, passing through his gaze before he turned, lifting his chin, his posture straightening, the mantle of his kingship settling once more upon his shoulders. "Yes," he said simply, "we do." And with that, he stepped past her, his footsteps echoing against the stone as he moved toward the waiting warriors, toward the walls that would soon see the clash of iron and wrath. Cadell watched him go, and though she did not move, though she remained standing beneath the eaves of Menegroth's gates, she felt as though something within her had already begun to fall, as though some part of her had already stepped beyond the threshold of history, beyond the moment when choices could still be unmade. And in the distance, unseen but inevitable, the torches of the dwarves flickered between the trees, their flames weaving between the trunks like hungry spirits, like the first embers of a fire that, once lit, could not be extinguished. The night deepened, folding itself into the hollows of the forest, creeping through the tangled roots of ancient trees, whispering through the golden leaves that clung to their boughs like forgotten relics of a world untouched by sorrow. A slow wind, heavy with the scent of damp earth and the quiet breath of things unseen, wound its way through the undergrowth, trailing over stones worn smooth by time, carrying with it the weight of something inevitable. Something written not in ink upon parchment, but in the iron strokes of fate itself. The very air seemed to hold its breath, thick with the hushed murmur of unseen voices, with the silent, expectant tension of a land that knew the balance upon which it stood, the fragile, aching space between what was and what would soon come to pass. Beyond the shimmering, unseen boundary of Melian's girdle, beyond the sacred sanctuary of Doriath, an army moved through the hush of the night. Their footfalls measured, their breath steady, their silence more telling than the cry of any war horn. The dwarves of Nogrod, clad in the unyielding armor of their kin, their helms adorned with sigils of stone and fire, their hands wrapped tightly around the hafts of their axes, advanced like a slow-moving tide, an unrelenting force that neither the whispering winds nor the murmuring leaves could dissuade. Their banners, though dark beneath the star-dappled sky, bore the weight of their pride, the silent proclamation of a people who had labored beneath the mountains, who had shaped the bones of the world with hammer and chisel, who had carved beauty from the darkness and called it their own. and at their head a figure loomed, his presence as heavy as the iron he bore, his gaze fixed upon the unseen halls ahead, where stone met starlight, where the debt of honor and wrath would soon be repaid. Balinor, son of the great smith lords of Nogrod, marched at the forefront of his kin, his shoulders broad beneath the weight of his armor, his beard braided with the silver rings of his ancestors, his hands wrapped around the haft of the axe that had tasted battle in ages past. His eyes, dark and deep as the caverns of his homeland, burned with a fire that had been kindled long before this night, long before the insult that had driven him from his halls, long before the jewel of the Silmaril had been set within the golden embrace of the Nauglamír. His heart was a forge, stoked by the knowledge of what had been taken, by the bitterness of a slight that could not be ignored, by the knowledge that the honor of his people, the labor of their hands, had been dismissed, discarded, as though it were no more than the dust of a broken mine. Beside him, Tholin, his oldest friend and most trusted second, walked with a measured pace, his expression unreadable beneath the shadow of his helm, though his fingers traced absent patterns upon the handle of his warhammer, a motion of thought, of caution, of something that had not yet been given voice. He had followed Balinor for many years, had stood beside him in the forges of their fathers, had fought at his side in battles now written into the stone lore of their people. And yet, on this night, beneath the quiet, knowing eyes of the stars, something in his heart was uneasy. Something in his soul stirred with the weight of words left unsaid. At last, when the hush of the trees had grown so thick that it pressed against them like the weight of the mountain itself, he spoke, his voice low, edged with the careful deliberation of a man who knew that his words might fall upon stone and be lost. "You do not speak," he murmured, his gaze flickering toward Balinor, though the other did not turn, his eyes still fixed upon the unseen halls ahead. "Not since we left the mountains. Not since the stones of our home fell away behind us, and the path to this night stretched long before our feet. You have carried this weight upon your shoulders, heavier than iron, heavier than the forges of our fathers, and yet you have not given it voice. Tell me, my friend, when the gates of Menegroth stand before us, when the king of the elves meets your gaze with all the cold certainty of his kind, will you see only an enemy? Or will you remember that there was a time when stone and song did not stand so far apart?" Balinor's steps did not falter, his pace did not slow, but something in his grip tightened, something in his breath caught for the briefest moment before he answered. His voice, deep as the caverns, steady as the hammer upon the anvil. "I do not march upon Menegroth as a beggar, nor as a thief," he said, his words deliberate, his tone carrying the weight of something long since decided. "I do not come to entreat, nor to plead, nor to barter with a man who believes himself above such things. I come to claim what is rightfully ours, what was taken not in battle, not in conquest, but through deceit, through the smooth words of a king who believes that his hands alone may lay claim to what others have wrought. And you ask me if I will see an enemy when I look upon him?" He let out a breath, slow, measured, like the cooling hiss of steel upon stone. He has already made himself one. Tholin was silent for a long moment, his gaze unreadable beneath the shadow of his helm. When at last he spoke, his voice was softer, though no less heavy with thought. "There was a time when our people and theirs walked paths that did not cross in anger, when we built and they sang, when our hands shaped stone and their voices wove light. There was a time when we were not so distant, when the work of our forges was not seen as lesser, when the skill of our hands was not dismissed as the labor of those who dwell in shadow. But those times are gone, and I do not know if they will return." He exhaled slowly, his fingers tightening briefly around the hilt of his hammer. "And yet, I cannot help but wonder, Balinor, when the blood of elves is upon our axes, when the halls of Menegroth lie broken beneath our hands, will the debt truly be repaid? Or will we have only carved a wound into the stone of this world that will never be mended?" Balinor did not answer, for there was nothing to be said. The trees whispered around them, the leaves trembling beneath the unseen weight of a grief not yet spoken. And ahead, where the forest gave way to stone, where the golden halls of Menegroth lay waiting beneath the earth, the torches of the Sindar flickered like the first stars of a gathering storm. And still the dwarves marched on, their steps measured, their hands steady, their purpose unyielding. For there was no turning back now. There never had been. The night stretched on, heavy and breathless, its silence broken only by the murmuring leaves that shuddered beneath the weight of unseen sorrow. The air was thick with the scent of earth and moss, the damp fragrance of deep-rooted things that had grown in peace for long ages, their existence untouched by the fury of those who now trespassed upon their slumber. The trees stood as they always had, their golden canopies shifting beneath the hush of the wind. Yet something in them had changed. Where once they had whispered songs of gentle rivers and starlight, now their branches creaked as though they wept, as though they could feel the pulse of iron and wrath moving through their roots, as though they understood that before the dawn, the land itself would be made to drink deeply of sorrow. The forest did not resist the march of the dwarves, nor did it hinder them, but it bore witness. It watched with knowing silence as they advanced, their armored forms moving like the slow, inevitable crawl of a mountain's shadow. Their steps measured, unyielding, each bootfall upon the soft loam a quiet promise of what was to come. Their axes gleamed beneath the pale light of the stars. Their helms, etched with runes of protection and war, reflected the flickering glow of their torches. Though none among them spoke, there was no need. The time for words had passed. At their head, Balinor walked with his gaze set forward, his eyes dark as the deep places of the world, his breath steady, his fingers wrapped so tightly around the haft of his axe that the leather bindings creaked beneath his grip. He did not falter, did not hesitate, did not allow himself to feel the weight of what lay before them. For to waver now would be to undo all that had led them to this moment. And yet, though his body moved as one accustomed to war, his mind was not silent. Within him, thoughts unraveled like molten ore poured from the forge, heavy and unshaped, waiting to be hammered into something solid, something that could be carried without breaking beneath its weight. At last, when the hush had stretched too long, when the breath of the forest seemed to press against them like an unseen tide, Tholen spoke, his voice low, rough as stone worn by centuries of wind and water, yet laced with something that was neither doubt nor defiance, but the quiet need for understanding. "I have walked many roads beside you, my friend," he murmured, his steps unfaltering, his gaze fixed ahead. "I have stood beside you in battle. I have bled beneath the same sky. I have labored at the same forge, where the fire was made bright by the sweat of our fathers. And yet I look upon you now, and I wonder if you see the path beneath your feet, or if you see only the mountain ahead, the peak that must be climbed, the weight that must be carried. because the climb itself has become your purpose. Balinor did not answer immediately. His breath was steady, his expression unchanging, though something in his fingers tightened. Something in the furrow of his brow deepened. When he spoke, his voice was slow, deliberate, as though each word was forged upon the anvil of his thoughts before being given breath.
"You speak as though this burden is one I have chosen, Tholin," he said, his tone neither harsh nor soft, but heavy with the certainty of one who has long made peace with the inevitability of his path. "You speak as though there was ever another road to walk, as though we could have turned aside, as though the weight of what was done could have been set down, forgotten, left to be buried beneath the dust of passing years. But you know as well as I that there is no forgetting. There is no road that leads away from this, only forward."
We are not men to let time erase the debts of the past. We are not elves to wrap ourselves in poetry and song, to let beauty replace the sting of insult. We are dwarves, Tholin, and to us there is no wound that does not leave a mark, no debt that does not demand to be repaid, no hand that is given in labor that does not demand the respect it is owed. You ask me if I see the path beneath my feet. I do. And it is a path that was carved long before this night. I only walk it to its end. Tholin exhaled, slow, steady, his gaze shifting to the towering trees that loomed around them, their golden boughs shifting like restless spirits in the hush of the night. When he spoke again, his voice was softer, though no less weighted with thought. "And if the end of that path is ruin?" he asked, the words drifting between them like the breath of dying embers. "If the stones of Menegroth crumble beneath our axes? If the blood of elves stains the halls they built? If the songs that once filled these woods are drowned beneath the cry of battle, will the debt be repaid? Or will we only have carved another wound into the bones of the world, another sorrow that will be written in stone long after we are gone?" For the first time, Balinor hesitated, the rhythm of his steps faltering if only for a moment. His breath was steady, his hands did not loosen upon his weapon, but something in his eyes flickered, something almost imperceptible, like the first crack upon a blade too often struck against the anvil. When he spoke, his voice was quieter than before, though no less certain. "There is no honor in yielding to those who would take from us," he said. "No peace in allowing our labor to be dismissed, to be cast aside as though it were lesser. You ask if ruin will be the price of this night. Perhaps. But I would sooner see ruin upon the world than upon the pride of my people." Tholin did not answer, for there was nothing left to say. The wind stirred around them, carrying with it the distant sound of water moving through unseen streams, the murmur of rivers that had known the passing of countless ages, the shifting of leaves that had watched over kings and beggars alike. And ahead, beyond the last of the trees, beyond the whispering hush of the forest, the first light of torches flickered upon the stone walls of Menegroth, the golden gates gleaming like the bones of the earth, waiting. There was no turning back, there never had been, and soon the 1,000 caves would know the sound of war. The gates of Menegroth loomed before them, towering pillars of stone carved with the patience of centuries, their golden inlays catching the firelight in brilliant, shifting glimmers that seemed to dance upon the surface like trapped starlight. The great doors, wrought with ancient skill, bore the likeness of the 2 trees of Valinor, their branches curling into intricate patterns that wove themselves across the marble, silver and gold intermingling, as though the light of ages past had been caught in the very veins of the rock. The entrance to the Thousand Caves was not merely a threshold of wood and stone, but a testament to the enduring will of the Sindar, to the elves who had shaped beauty from the darkness beneath the earth, who had built a kingdom not upon conquest, nor upon war, but upon the quiet, undying song of things meant to last beyond the fading of days. And yet, on this night, the gates stood not as a promise of sanctuary, nor as a beacon of the unbroken power of Doriath. They stood as a challenge, a final barrier between pride and ruin, between history and its unmaking.
The dwarves of Nogrod had halted at the tree line, their ranks a sea of iron and shadow, their torches flickering like the embers of a forge long left to burn without restraint. Their axes gleamed in the dim light, polished and honed, waiting for the moment when they would taste the blood of those who had wronged them, when they would carve their justice into the very walls that had once stood as a monument to elven arrogance. The weight of the night pressed down upon them, thick with unspoken words, with the quiet tension of a hammer poised above the anvil, waiting for the strike that would shape what could not be undone. At the head of the host, Balinor stood motionless, his gaze fixed upon the gates, upon the silent halls beyond, his breath slow and measured, his grip firm upon the haft of his axe. He did not move, did not speak, though within him a storm raged, silent and unrelenting. He had walked far to reach this place, had carried the weight of his people's pride upon his shoulders, had felt the burn of insult sear itself into his bones. And now, at the threshold of war, he found himself staring into the depths of a choice that, once made, could never be unmade. There was no peace to be found in hesitation, no solace in questioning the road that had brought him here. But still, for a moment, just a moment, he allowed himself to wonder, would the world remember this night? Would the stones of Menegroth bear the echoes of his people's fury, the weight of their loss? Or would the memory of this battle be swallowed by time, reduced to whispers in forgotten halls, to myths carried upon the tongues of those who did not know the truth of what had been done? Would the elves sing of this night in sorrowful verses, weaving the tale of dwarven greed into the tapestry of their endless songs, casting his people as villains, as usurpers, as those who had sought to steal what was never theirs to claim? Would the blood spilled here stain not only the stones, but the pages of history itself? Beside him, Tholin exhaled, his breath heavy, weighted with thought, his fingers tracing absent circles upon the handle of his hammer, as though seeking answers in the cold solidity of the iron beneath his touch. He had followed Balinor through many things, had trusted him through battles fought in the darkness of the deep places of the world, had stood beside him in halls where the firelight gleamed upon their armor, where the echoes of hammers upon anvils had sung the only songs their people had ever needed. But here, beneath the open sky, beneath the watchful, unblinking gaze of the stars, he felt something stir within him, something he could not name, something that made his grip tighten ever so slightly, as though trying to hold on to something already slipping away. "You have led us here," he said at last, his voice low, rough-edged, though not with anger, not with challenge, but with the quiet weight of understanding. "You have carried this burden, have borne the weight of our people's pride, have taken upon yourself the wrath of what was done. But now, as you stand before these gates, as you look upon what must be done, tell me truly, Balinor, do you believe the debt will be paid? Will the stone remember our grief, or will it only remember the blood that will stain its halls?" Balinor did not turn to him, did not shift his gaze from the golden gates,
but his fingers curled tighter around his axe, his jaw tensing ever so slightly, as though the words had struck upon something within him that he had not yet allowed himself to see. He drew in a slow breath, steadying himself, and when he spoke, his voice was quiet but firm, carrying the weight of all that had led him to this moment. "The stone does not weep, Tholen," he murmured. "It does not mourn, nor does it carry the burden of what we carve upon it.
It remembers only what is done, without judgment, without sorrow, without regret. It does not ask why the hammer falls, nor does it question the hands that wield it. It simply bears the mark, unchanging, unmoved. And so it shall be with this night. The halls of Menegroth will not remember the songs of the elves, nor the hands that shaped them, nor the beauty that once filled them. They will only remember the strike of axes, the clash of steel, the fire that will burn away all that came before it. And in that, the debt will be repaid." Tholen was silent for a long moment, his breath slow, his expression unreadable beneath the flickering firelight. Then, at last, he gave a slow nod, as though accepting the truth of what had been spoken, though his grip upon his hammer did not loosen. "Then let it be done," he murmured. And so, with the slow, deliberate certainty of a hammer falling upon the waiting anvil, Balinor raised his axe, the metal catchy in the firelight, gleaming like the first break of dawn against the unyielding mountain. A single breath stretched between the moment and the act, between hesitation and inevitability. And then, with the force of a forge long stoked beyond its limit, he brought the axe down upon the gates of Menegroth. The sound rang through the night, a deep, shuddering reverberation that seemed to shake the very bones of the world, echoing through the stillness like a thunderclap upon the mountains. A sound that carried with it the weight of things unspoken, of oaths sworn in fire and stone, of history breaking open beneath the force of wrath and retribution. The gates did not fall at once. They groaned, shuddered beneath the blow, their golden inlays splitting like veins of light cracking upon the surface of darkened water. The trees seemed to tremble in answer, the wind rising in a sudden rush, as though the forest itself gasped at what had been done. And then, with a sound like the breaking of a mountain's heart, the gates of Menegroth splintered, and the 1,000 caves, silent for so long, echoed once more with the sound of war. There was no turning back. There never had been, and the stone would remember.